What is going on, everybody? We're about to get started. We've got SSfx. Come on the mic.
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great.
It's good to have you on. Introduce yourself. I know, everybody will call you SS. You want to remain anonymous, privacy, which is
It's
key.
fine. Sat is my nickname. You can call me
Sat.
Sat.
Are
Yeah,
you
that is what everybody
Satoshi?
calls me. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so pardon me, I'm very shy. I've not been a speaker, but I have this opportunity with the Funded Trader that has actually changed my life, and I thought it's only befitting. And the least I could do is come online and talk about how wonderful this process is. I have been listening to the other speaker, and he's made several valuable points, and many that I agree with. But he also said something very important is about, and also you said that trading is not about putting a timestamp on it. And for me, my experience has been, success comes when you least expect it if you just keep plugging away. So I've been trading for a long time. I've been trading for myself for the last 5 years actively, and I've had a very hard time. Many times I thought of giving up. But then I find that trading with your own money, which is what I started doing a long time ago, was very difficult for me because when you lost the money and is your own money, you take it personally. And so that was very hard. So during the COVID, when I found out that prop firms exist, I thought this was a great opportunity to be able to get large amounts of capital. And so I have accounts now with you guys, FTMO you spoke about as well. And I also have with E8 and my Forex ones. And so I can tell you from experience that I'm very happy with because one of the things that we have to look at is not only your strategy. Strategy is always good. You must have strategy. You must know what your plan is. But there's so many other factors that can affect our success. And so I always like to look at the spreads, the broker, what's happening at certain times for exotic crosses. Let's say the sterling New Zealand. If I have the same in 4 different brokers and I'm looking at a cross, I find that the TFT spreads are much better. I find that the TFT even for the exotic cross, even at downtime, for instance, I would get stopped out on other brokers and I would not get stopped out at TFT, and that makes a very big difference because sometimes the stop happens and the market didn't really even trade there. I think also you're using a very big broker, 8cap, so that makes a very big difference. And so trading is all these other factors come into play. You can have the best strategy, I feel, if you're not executing properly, even from minor things like the broker, which is not minor, but if even that is very important. But also you have to be able to execute your strategy. And my advice to everyone, and I learned this from hard experience, is you have to be I like to think of it as being in the zone, just like the Michael Jordan, or he plays very good basketball. You can only get those 3-pointers when you're in the zone. And so I find for myself, if I'm stressed, like last 2 weeks, I've been very stressed because a very close family member of mine is passed away actually. And I find that I cannot trade under stress or not even stress, but any distraction. You have to, like the other gentleman said, our boss, he said, you have to not do this on your phone. You should have office, nice computer setup and everything where you don't have the distraction. And then you'll be able to trade successfully. You can have the best strategy, but if you don't have the right mindset to execute your strategy, it's not going to work. And so I find that even the same strategy I use over and over, if I'm trading with not the right mindset, then I would always lose money. If I trade with the good mindset, meaning that I am not looking for, like you said, timestamp, like I'm not trying to make 50,000 in 1 month, but I just take the market, look for my signals, look for my strategy, stick to it, enter my plan, and so forth, then even the right strategy doesn't work if you don't do the proper execution. So I feel that trading is, I would say, for me personally, is 80% psychology, it's 80% mindset. And then, because without proper mindset, it's hard. Sometimes we go into euphoria, which is also equally as dangerous as loss. And kind of experienced that after my very big month. Too much hype around it, even within my family. And so it's been, I kind of feel some pressure that I have to continue this, and that affected me. So this month I'm struggling, I'll be honest. I have no problem sharing because we are all here to learn. So this is This is very important. So, but I want to say thank you to Angelo and for the team, because it's to be able to trade this kind of capital, 600,000, to have very good broker. Like I said, I find that even though TFT is a younger company, their spreads are very good. Broker is very good because they have very deep markets as opposed to just the traders for a single prop firm. They have much deeper markets, so they're able to pass on that savings to us. But it's not only the savings in the spread, but it's also you can have get a stopped out take profit not hit because the spread are too wide when the market other brokers are doing that. So I find that's a very big plus, and you should always make sure that your people know that this is a big plus that you have here.
I just want to interject really quickly. So you touched on trading mindset, obviously being in the zone. You must have recently. I'm like in the process of reading that book. It's by the guy who is Michael Jordan's trainer. He's skipping my his name is skipping my mind.
Okay. I think I know. Yeah, name is slipping me too. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, he wrote this book, and he was talking about Michael Jordan in his training regimen was very particular in what he did, right? Like before the games, he ate steak, right? But and days of the games, he trained when other players, no one else was doing this. No one else did resistance training day of games, and like Michael Jordan had done that. Tim Grover, that's who it is. So my question to you is, are there any, like, what are your rituals, right? Are you very methodical in going through and getting yourself prepared to hop into the markets? Like, walk us through what like a typical kind of trading day consists of for you.
Yes, very much so. So my trading day starts from Sunday at 5 p.m. and ends on Friday at 5 p.m. So I feel for Forex trading, which I solely do only Forex trading, I feel like, you can't take breaks in between this time because the market is moving. And if you're trying to trade a little bit longer term, I'm not trading really day trading, so I have to be involved. So what I do is I spend time analyzing market every morning. Once I'm up, I get up strictly at 4:30 in the morning. I would take shower, and I always do meditation and prayers at that time. And then after that, I spend maybe 2 hours analyzing the chart, looking for changes into what I'm seeing in the daily charts. For me, is not a day-to-day thing, but I would look at the daily charts, and I know, like, okay, so I'm looking at the charts and this is my next trade. It might not be in 2 weeks, but now, like, so for instance, like right now, if you look at daily charts and the sterling New Zealand, you see like sideways consolidation. Other yen crosses also, you see sideways consolidation. So I know after consolidation comes a breakout. So now I'm waiting for a breakout to come. So for instance, I would always be looking at that, and I write down next trade. The next trade would be, say, sterling New Zealand, for instance, or whatever I see is I look for two things when I look at daily charts. I look for consolidation, and then I look for ending of a trend. And I believe that very much keeps me in the trend, and I only want to trade with the trend. I feel if you trade against the trend, it will be very difficult for you. So if you trade with the trend, you take fewer trades, easier trades. And I am not saying that I always do. I make very many mistakes as well. And sometimes you get compulsive, but I try my best to stay away. My meditation, I feel, helps me. Sometimes I get eager because if it's a long period and I don't have a trade, I want to jump in there and do something. And I take maybe 1 hour trade, 4 hour trade. Most of the time, it's not a good idea. I only use 1 hour, 4 hour charts when I decided, okay, I will take this trade now in the daily charts. Now I would go to 1 hour and 4 hour, and I look for entry points. Many times your daily signal will give you let's say a buy signal. Then the market will go against you for 12 hours or so, maybe correct down 50, 60 points, and that's a lot of money when you have a drawdown you want to stay with. So I use it in 1 hour for timing, and the 4 hour as well. For timing for entry and exit. But always the trade must be with the daily trend, but not go against the daily trend. So that I feel is very important. But during the day, I spend most time just looking at the charts. I have many computer screens, and I put them all up, and I look, and then I walk away, and I would read some books, or have coffee or something, and I come back and I look at it again, because sometimes you see one thing and then you have some more clarity and you look at another thing. But what I feel is very important is I don't trade the straight currencies as much. I trade mostly the crosses, and I find that much success comes comes from this because the straight dollar pairs are very difficult to trade. So trading the crosses, I think I have the option of looking very carefully at all the crosses and figuring out which currency is the strongest and which is the weakest. And so, for instance, I'll give you an example. If I'm to buy, let's say I am to buy the Aussie crosses are bullish. Let's say the Euro Aussie and Sterling Aussie look both like they're going to trend up. But then, so I don't want to buy both. I want to buy the best one. So I would look at the Euro Sterling. And if the Euro Sterling is going, then I'll buy the Euro Aussie. The Euro Sterling is going down, I would buy the Sterling Aussie. So I always try to buy the strongest and sell the weakest. Also, same thing for like if it's Aussie yen, I would look at Aussie New Zealand pair. If do I buy or sell Aussie yen or New Zealand yen? They always trade in tandem with each other. So lots of things I spend, I would say 90% of the time I sit at my desk, I am analyzing, and only 10% is executing trade because the analysis is most important.
Yeah, I agree. So it's interesting. You said a few things there. One of them is that you basically trade exotics. Pretty interesting because from my point of view, looking at all the data, we've quantified that exotics are the least profitable for retail traders. So what gives you confidence to trade exotics? Is it your view on macroeconomics when it comes to evaluating how to get in and out of them? Is it more technical analysis that you're leaning towards? Like what is exactly your thoughts behind trading them?
I would not categorize these crosses as exotics as much. I know you have them like that on the symbol list, but I don't feel they're exotics because I think that honestly, since the dollar pairs were very much more active in the 2010, 2012, going on to 2014, but I feel that since the Trump administration, there's been a change in the way business has been done in the world. I feel that there's many different countries that are much more active partners as the dollar took a backseat. There's been a shift out of the dollar into many different currencies like the euro and like the Australian and so forth. And I find that since then, and then with the pandemic, also this was some effect. And then once the pandemic has eased up and things have started to move, I found personally that these crosses trade much, much better. So I feel like the Euro Aussie, Euro Canada, Euro Sterling, Aussie yen, New Zealand yen, Canada yen, Euro yen, and Sterling yen, I think they're the best trade. I think, Euro New Zealand is a little bit exotic, but also it can move very well. You take that if depending if it's the New Zealand or the Aussies moving. But also these, what I find is that with the dollar, you trade the euro dollar directly. There are many swings and too much news driven. So it's very hard to hold position. You get too much swings in between. If you're able to do your analysis and you're able to focus and pick the right one, it doesn't matter. Euro dollar could go up or down, but when you're trading the cross, you don't really need to get the direction of the dollar correct. All you need to do is to do your homework to find out which is the strongest currency, which is the weakest, and buy the strongest, sell the weakest. And that is my strategy, and I find it very, very successful.
I love that. That's amazing.
I find it hard to know. It's because there's so much news. All the numbers recently, the inflation numbers, all of a sudden the PPI is important. For years it was not important. CPI, PPI, even retail sales, even housing starts are important now. And it does not make sense to me because, these things would continue to change. So we can't change our strategy every time. So if there's a number coming out, like number would come out, the dollar would swing up and down, but the crosses will still go one way. So because everything moves, it's just you're just buying the valuation of the pair. So I genuinely, I don't think that these are exotic. I think these are primary markets that we must take advantage of.
Yeah, and I guess, getting into, because you mentioned Trump, obviously he did a lot to disrupt, world economics and just the political landscape of the world. And how do you feel like there's obviously an impact? I know you're not on Discord, I know you're not as active on, I guess, online. Like, are you on social media? Like, are you on Twitter? Like, are you reading what goes on?
No, I honestly, I purposefully put myself in isolation because the least amount of information I get, the better trader I am. So 99.9% of my trades come from a technical analysis. I've been a technical analyst for large hedge fund very long time ago when I was trading on Wall Street. That was like like 20 years ago. And I have developed some technical models that work. And it's funnily enough, the same models work today too. But it's important to know that, I don't go crazy over the indicators because most of them are lagging. So I really focus on price action. That is the most current information one could have. And also price action I feel like price action is the summary of all buys and sells, all good news and all bad news, and all positive and negative fundamentals. It's all expressed in the final closing price of the day in any currency pair. And so that is very important that we look at that. And if you have that and you're looking at that, you don't need to know anything else. So I don't have any contact with anyone. I don't go on any group. I don't even have the Facebook or Twitter or anything like that. I just kind of sit by myself and I trade, follow the charts and I trade. And I also had very rough time in the beginning. I lost many accounts, but hopefully I feel now that still I started trading again after my very large payout, and I'm having a rough time because, like I said, emotionally I'm not in good frame of mind, so I have to step away for a little bit, come back again. Because I know that I am not doing well, and it's not good to trade after euphoria. But my best advice is definitely, if you're not already, definitely start looking at these crosses.
Yeah, I want to comment on a few things. First off, I want to throw out a joke. So the last time that someone made over 200K, their Discord name was GSFX, and then your name is SSfx. So
really,
if any of you guys want success, change it, put FX in your name.
I think so, because you keep focus. Is not, I don't trade anything else but FX.
That's funny. So I want to ask you one about the meditative. Seems as though you really value the isolation, the meditative state. For anyone out there who is trading in a state of chaos, maybe their environment isn't ideal to be trading, what advice do you have for anybody who is pretty early on and kind of figuring out how to maintain peace of mind, mental clarity? Like, do you have any tips for them?
Sure, absolutely. I would say just be with yourself. And, it helps to start with writing down your goals and knowing why you're doing this. Your purpose is very important, because without purpose, you can't be successful. You must have purpose. Am I doing this for my children? Am I doing this for my career? Am I doing this for my house? And so you have to have commitment and purpose, and then you can stay focused. Focus is very hard in this market, because losses is, when you take loss, you become a different person. When you also make big win, you become different person. So it's very hard in my culture. I'm a Hindu. It says that you must be balanced in mind in good and bad. So I try very hard to keep balance in mind. Very, very difficult, but I try really hard to do that. In terms of the meditation, there are many different meditations. YouTube is a great source for meditation. Even for 10 minutes before you start trading, you should just sit quietly with yourself. You can have guided meditation or just some music, something that appeals to you, something that makes you feel comfortable, something that makes you feel nice. You sit there by yourself 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and you keep improving. Even during the day, when you have a bad run, or if you're not feeling like you're in that zone, then you need to get your focus back. So you think of something that is very important to you, and you focus on it, and you regain your purpose and your central tendency, your central mindset. So that is very important, and you have to know when to stop and when to walk away and when to come back. Without that, it is very difficult. So I think that like I said, you can have the best strategy, but if you cannot execute your strategy well, then it's not successful. So the only way to execute your strategy well is to have a balanced mindset, and that balanced mindset is what will keep you focused. So you have to always try to remember something, even if it's your God, even if it's your belief, your anything that is important to you, your mommy, your daddy, everybody is important. You can try to stay focused on something important, and that would give you some clarity. For me personally, I focus on my children. I have 2 teenagers, and there's certain things I want to achieve for them, and I stay focused on that. I look for long-term goals, and that it's motivation. You're right. You need to have a motivation and a balance of mind.
Yeah. So thank you. That was so well spoken. So for myself, I'm someone who is very much a believer in being in the zone, remaining in a meditative state. You had said like finding a way to sit with yourself. For me, it's a big part of my life. Is I know that if I were to be put in a room and I was told to sit there, I would sit there for an extended amount of time, and I would thoroughly enjoy my amount of time there, and I would download a
Absolutely.
lot of information that I potentially could utilize. And that's some of my best ideas that I get for TFT and just in general in business is when
Absolutely.
I'm going through like my meditative state, and I'm really getting deep into like these thoughts and what I'm really thinking about. And for you, knowing that that's kind of the base, of your training, of you conducting business, is trying to unlock this state of being in the zone, being meditative, practicing neutral thinking, which I think is very important. Not getting too high, not getting too down. Like everyone else, you're human, so am I, and we of course have things that disrupt our peace at certain points. How do you know when it's time to walk away from the charts? There's so many people that make money and they end up over trading, over leveraging, getting greedy. For you, what is your mechanism that tells you, hey, I need to walk away?
For me, it's become very simple because I keep focus on it. Is when I can see the chart clearly. And so it's like sometimes when I'm very much in the zone, I can only, nothing else comes into my mind, nothing creeps into my mind. So I have this way to measure, because I would have all 20 currency pairs, all the currency pairs that I look at, 20 in total, and that includes some of the exotic ones like the Swiss yen or the sterling New Zealand and the sterling Swiss and so forth. But 20 altogether I look at, and I find that if I can start from Euro Aussie, which is my first one, Euro Aussie, and if I can go through all 20 and I know exactly what I look at, I could tell exactly what I think of every chart, and I made my notes, I am okay. I am doing well. If I get to number 8 and then thoughts start slipping into my mind, and I know I am not focused, so I step away and I come back. So you have to be able to measure yourself. You have to know yourself. Know how you behave, know what bothers you. When you're in the zone and you're trying to be in the zone, when you're trading, like the other young man said, when you're trading, you must take it seriously. If you're trading and then you're thinking, oh my God, I have to go to the bank, or oh my God, this person has to call me, and you're looking at your charts, you're not focused. So that is my measurement. If I get to the number 8 or number 9, 10, and I feel like, oh, I didn't even remember what I look at, I know I'm not focused. So I get up, I maybe take some tea, have some coffee or something, and then take a few deep breaths, and I come back. If I try again and it's not happening, then I walk away. So if I have loss for the day, 2%, 2.5% loss for the day, I'll walk away as well, because trading to come back is not a good idea at all. You just have more losses, and I know that very, very well, because I've done that many times and I've lost many accounts trying to do that.
Well said. Well said. Now, obviously, we're here to celebrate, huge win, over 200,000 in profit. Tell us about, you said, you've been kind of trading in the market 5 years. You said you had some previous experience working in finance. What are some of the struggles that you've had, and like how have you overcome them?
Well, I have had much struggles, because I've actually lost very, very big loss during the previous recession, and so I lost millions of dollars. I've had lots of real estate and so forth, and lost a lot. And since then, I tried to come back in many different ways, and it was a very difficult time. Close to bankruptcy many times. And then I started to trade again. And the biggest challenge I have, and I would give all the young people here today, if I can help you in any way, you just take this one thing from me. Do not trade to make money because you have to pay the bills, or you have to pay somebody back, or you have to pay the loan. Don't trade like that. It's the worst thing that you could do. So that's where I learned very hard. When I started, I said, okay, I'm going to trade now, and I'm going to make all this money. And this month I must make $10,000 because I need to pay $10,000. And I end up losing lots and lots of my personal money doing that. I actually got wiped out on one of my personal accounts. So it was you cannot do that. So that was my very difficult thing. When I finally learned that I can only trade what the market is giving me, not what I want out of the market. I can only trade what is happening that day, not when I want it to happen. I can only take what the move is going to be. So if the move is going to be 50 points and I want 80, I can't get 80. I must only see 50. So you can't tell the market what you want. You can only be its friend and trade with the market. And don't trade for a number. Don't trade. When I made the $250,000 $200. I tell you what happened. First trade I did, one of the first trade I did for that account, I saw a very good trade in the sterling yen. This is last month when the yen crosses were moving up, and I was watching for a long time. I was watching the consolidation and the breakout, and the euro yen, sterling yen started to move up, and I put an order in. I bought some very small amount of sterling yen, and I at the chart and I said, okay, I'm going to take some rest. So I put take profit 230 points away. Because I know sterling yen can easily give 300 points on a day. I woke up in 5 hours and I hit 230 points. So on a $3.6 million position, and that is on a 300K account. So it's like a 5 times leverage, which I don't go very high per trade. I made like $61,000. And so that was a very good inspiration for me. So from that, I was able to use that profit as a cushion, and then be able to say, okay, I'm not going to give back more than 10,000 of it, or I'm not going to give back more than 15,000, and I keep building from there. And that's how you get to 250K. But when you get yourself in losses first, it's very hard to come out and turn that around. You can. I've done it. I'm sure many of you have done it, but it's very difficult. You have to really have that mind of steel at that point in time. But if you can, Mr. Arba said also, if you can start off with small losses, try to get into the profit, even if it's small. Just small win, $500, $300 will make you feel better. So every trade will be better. You watch and see, it will happen. It will grow because just keep taking little profits. Try to take big profits, and I lost many accounts like that. So it's only because I was under lots of pressure. I'm sure all of you trading here today listening are under pressure because times are difficult. We're all having problems, or we've all had problems. We all want to do better. Don't make that the purpose of why you're trading. Don't trade under the gun, like they say. Look at the market and trade from a very positive point of view. See it, and you'll see more clarity. You'll see things better, and you'll be able to do better, I promise.
I agree. I think trading from a place of scarcity the results are gonna be scarce.
Absolutely. Well said. Mm-hmm.
Right. So trading from a place of abundance, like there's gonna be another setup. There's gonna be more profit. I don't need to hold this trade because I'm attached to a number on a screen. It's not woo woo. It's not taboo. It is the psychology of a human being. If you stay attached to certain things, you're not going to get the results that you think you're going to get. I think remaining very detached from the risks that you're taking, from the profits that you're making, that's the person that's dangerous, right? The person that has no attachment to the results that they get, they have no attachment to the outcomes, they have no expectations. They're someone who can really be like an assassin, in the market. So I commend you for sharing your viewpoint of that. I think not enough people talk about that. And I also thought it was interesting how you brought in the concept of knowing the points. So you should really fundamentally understand, how much does this pair that I trade realistically move in one day, right? Am I setting a target that's that would take potentially 3 days to get to? I think a lot of people struggle with this is they go on TradingView, they set up their TA, they set up one of those long short position tools, and then they take a trade, maybe it's on the 4-hour time frame, and then they're in the trade like 3 hours and they're like, oh, this trade's not going in my direction, right? Like I'm in some profit. Should I close? Should I this? Should I that? Like your expectation should be, oh, I took the trade on the 4-hour. This could take potentially 7 candles to materialize. That could play out over the course of 28 hours, 36 hours. That's a day and 2 days. Like you shouldn't even really be looking at that point. Like, so I think that's a lot of the issue is like you said, like the expectation is there. It sounds like you have a lot of experience with the strategy that you trade years and years and years, and that certainly is very important. And then I think the final stage, at least from what I'm getting out from you, is really removing all those distractions, all of those things that are not necessary. Obviously, we brought you into the Discord. We got you to download the app, but we're thankful to hear your insights. We know that you're not going to be, extremely active on here, but I think that it's very calming to hear your point of view, someone who's taking this very serious, who looks at this as a very legitimate way to make money online. We've been on for a little while now. I want to start to close it off, and I want to ask you. There's a lot of people, as we know, we put out some stats. Success rate of prop traders, trading in general, is not very high. What advice would you give to one of these traders that are in here, maybe they're not passing challenges, maybe they're making money on the funded accounts and they're losing it right away. What is your one piece of advice to these people?
I would say for those who are trying to pass challenges, like you said earlier, Angelo, when you were trying to pass the challenge, just take your time and don't look at the calendar, don't look at the date. Just wait for your trade, wait for your setup. Be patient. Patience is the most important tool. I would say just be very patient. Don't push any trades. Don't force your trade. Don't try to find a trade. Keep looking at the charts, keep looking at your strategy, keep looking at the indicators, whatever it is that you use, and just wait for it to see you. In a way, it should pop right in front of you. And I would think that just be patiently waiting for that, because sometimes what has happened to me is I push one trade and now I'm involved, I'm emotionally committed to that trade, and the one that I was waiting for, the perfect one, just happens, but I'm already in this trade and I used up my leverage for the day, and I now missed a very good trade and I'm taking loss in one trade or very small profit, but the one I was really waiting for has just sped past me. So that is important when you identify a potential trade coming, just sit patiently. You may take 1 week and you might not have a trade. There was a week that I don't trade, and then learned that you have to sit in your hands, read a book instead of trying to push a trade. So that is my most important piece of advice is patience. Just be patient and use the time to clarify your mind. Be ready, because when the trade comes, you should be able to act very, very, very confidently, and you know exactly what you have to do. That trade comes, you act with no fear if you're being patient.
Well said. Well said. Well, Sat, I really appreciate you hopping on. It was a pleasure to speak with you. I know this was definitely the largest AMA that we've had, over 230 people consistently on the session. So once again, really appreciate you hopping on. Best of luck.
Pleasure.
Yeah, best of luck in your trading. Congrats on your success. And, hopefully we can set up another session in the future and speak again. We'll catch you guys on the next AMA later.